Hey, it's Weatherman Ray, or better known as Wixman Ray. I say that because maybe some of you don't know what Wix means. So, anyways, that's just the abbreviation for weather. That's, I guess, something I made up. I guess I'm the one who made it up. Maybe somebody else made it up in the past. Um, hey, welcome to our channel today. We do weather updates. I try to do them daily when I can. Um, if not, it'll be every other day. I also include like a travel vlog of when I do travel, which is occasionally. In the future, though, it may be less common, but we'll see how it goes. And I also intend this to be kind of an educational type videos where you might learn one or two things about the weather. Um, my goal is to inform people of what's coming their way. I mean, you have the local weather. I mean, if you still have old school local channels, a lot of people are going to streaming, so that seems to be becoming more and more of a thing of the past. And most of you have weather apps. To be honest with you, some of them are reliable, some are questionable. Depending on where they get their data from. So, hey, I just thought that I'd throw that out there. But hey, I'm an actual meteorologist. I've been doing this for 30 plus years, to be official, since 1990. That's when I went to weather school. I actually went to weather school in the military, and they taught me the ins and outs of being a meteorologist in the military. And then I went to school also and got my master's degree in atmospheric sciences, which also means meteorology. So, just a fancy term for meteorology. So, yeah, I've been doing this business for a long time. I've been all over the world. I've experienced almost every climate there is to experience, except for maybe Antarctica. But I was in Alaska, so I guess that was close enough. So, anyways, um, just thought I'd give you a quick introduction. That's our kind of our goal here. It would be nice if my channel took off and caught onto the algorithms, but this is my passion. I love weather. I've always loved it since I was a kid. Um, and so I started doing this in my 20s. So, and I've been doing it ever since. So, hey, there you go. So, hey, it's another day, another dollar. Actually, it's the weekend now. Even though I'm working this weekend, I have what I call a part-time gig. I'm semi-retired, so I work every other weekend right now. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Um, but Today is Saturday, the 14th of March, 2026. So I guess we survived Friday the 13th. I guess we lived to see another day. Hopefully, all of us are alive today. And hopefully, Saturday the 14th doesn't bring anything scary. Trying to make my drag jokes there. So, anyways, so we're looking at our satellite picture here. We've got, relatively quiet conditions across the southwest, basically most of the west here, except for this little dip in the clouds. I'll tell you about that in a second. But mostly clear across the south here, a little bit of lower cloud. They had some morning clouds, some morning stratus, maybe a little bit of fog out here, but it looks like it's burned off. And then we got some clouds across Florida. We still got some showers and maybe some thunder trying to develop out there across parts of Florida. This is like the remnants of an old cold front that's pretty much washed out and become like mostly a surface trough, if that. So, yeah. And then out west here, so we've got these are mostly mid-level and high-level clouds. You see these little bumpy how do I describe them? They're just bumpy looking clouds here. This is because the winds are coming perpendicular to the mountain terrain, which mostly runs north and south across here. So you get those wave action clouds, as I call them. They're lenticular type clouds. and basically that's just indicative of some strong winds coming over the terrain, which if you're flying up above this area, you may encounter a little bit of turbulence up here, through parts of Oregon, northern Nevada, into Idaho, in that area. So that's what that is. Not much in the way of rain. There's a little bit of rain up here in Idaho with this is what we call a short wave. That's meteorological lingo. So a shortwave trough moving through this part of the country. And then up here into Montana, stretching all the way back into the Dakotas, even a little bit back through here. There's some light snow developing. It's showing some light returns out here, although I don't think a lot of it's hitting the ground. It's real dry. The lower atmosphere is still pretty dry, so probably won't see a lot. But you'll see clouds because that's what's out there. That's what your eyes are telling you, right? So yeah, yeah. Otherwise, looks like they had some snow out in Washington. That's what this green's indicating here. There's still some snow cover over the Sierras. And then you can vaguely see the green up here where they had those snows over the last, well, they've had it for weeks now. Really hasn't gone away much. So, yeah, that's what's going on satellite. Really, and this actually, what this is kind of part of it, but it's the energy's out here over, you can't see it. This is what's going to develop into a big storm tomorrow over the plains here with this moisture. And there's a pocket of energy moving off the Pacific right now. You can kind of see the clouds associated with it. Here's that old low pressure. It's spinning up near Maine. They still got some lingering light snow across the northeast and some cloud cover. Yeah, you've had a winter out there, but I lived out in this part of the world for 4 or 5 years, so yeah, maybe by April it'll start improving. You never know from year to year what you're going to get, but it's been kind of nasty up in the Northeast this year for snow and cold and whatnot. So it's a little windy out there, and they've got that low pressure department. But okay, I got long-winded with that one, so we'll go to our surface observations. Up across the northwest, there's some lingering showers up here north of Seattle. Might be mostly rain. There could be some snow. Temperatures are warming up into the 30s, upper 30s. So most of it will probably be rain. Maybe some of the higher out terrain will get some snow still. But that's kind of winding down. There's not much with that. And then we've got, this is all that moisture I showed you on the satellite. We've got a little bit of rain down here in parts of Idaho. And some gusty winds too, gusting up 30, almost 40 miles an hour. So, yeah, that's going on through that valley of that runs from Boise to Twin Falls over towards Pocatello. I forget what the name of that valley is, but yeah, I've been up through there, so I'm familiar with the area, anyways. A lot of snow, bands of mostly light. Looks like some moderate to heavy bands in here. Of course, if you're down near Bozeman or what is this place called? Dillon, the Dillon Airport. That's warmer, so they're getting some warmer air. There's a little bit of gusty winds here and there out there. Getting some gusts to 40, 30s here and there. So still got some winds up there in parts of Wyoming. And then that snow kind of stretches back, and it's real spotty here. You can see it's mostly light. Some of those will probably be flurries, but a little band of snow going through North Dakota and the northern part of South Dakota and a little bit into Michigan. Although out here you don't really see any reports, so there might be some flurries going on, but a lot of it may not be reaching the ground. Out here we see one report of light snow. This is mostly going to be flurries back here into Iowa and these parts. So that was with those clouds I showed you. So not expecting a whole lot out of that, but more's to come with this moisture as we go through tonight and tomorrow especially. So yeah. So otherwise it's warming up across the west. We got 50s and 60s across northern Nevada, then 70 in Vegas, 70s already across the southwest into southern California. The rest of California is warming up into the you know, near 60 or so, or above 60. Really nice across the south in the 70s this morning. Got some 80s down in Florida. Looks like we got a few showers up here north of Tampa. Don't look like any thunderstorms right now, so yeah. So not as active this. It's actually what, about 1 o'clock out there now, so early afternoon. Um, yeah, won't say much about all this. It's quiet across most of the middle Atlantic over into this area, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, all real quiet weather and beautiful, really. In the 60s, 50s up towards St. Louis and not Minnesota, but Kansas City. I can't think straight. So here's this. This was once a pretty strong low pressure. It's still pretty windy. They're gusting up around 40, I guess. They've still got some strong winds across New York, Pennsylvania. A little bit of light snow still going on from Syracuse northward. Maybe a little bit strong, more moderate snow up over the Tug Hill Plateau and heading towards Watertown. A little bit out there in Vermont, some snow, and then we got a little bit the lows sitting almost smack dab over Maine there, with some snow in parts of Maine there. So, but this thing will be winding down as we go through tonight. So that thing will be exiting and going bye bye, as I call it. Yeah, even gusting up near 30, 40 miles an hour in Philadelphia. So, yeah, a little breezy out here in this part of the world along the East Coast where all the people live, which that's not where I want to be. I've visited out there. I lived out in Syracuse for a while and visited the New York City and been down through all those parts down to DC. And yeah, there's a lot of nice history and beautiful things to see, but I could avoid all the people. That's just me. All right, so let's see. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get to our weather charts here. So this is our 500 millibar chart. I've shown this many times on this channel. This is basically what I look at as kind of gives me a good eyeball of what's going on in the atmosphere and the upper levels. This is basically about 18,000 feet above sea level. 500 millibar chart is what we call it. As you can see, the winds, so these are the wind barbs, all these little things here. These little things here. And then these are the lines at equal height. So it tells us, you know, where the higher and lower pressure is going to be and those kind of things. So, but they're kind of oriented east to west. So we call this like a zonal it's a fast moving pattern. So all the storms going through this type of flow are moving through pretty quickly. They're not going to sit in any one location for, you know, a real long period of time. They're just moving right along with the westerly winds, which are real common, which is basically what's always happening across North America and the mid latitudes, as we call them. So, and that's what the continental United States is in, mid latitudes. So, yeah. So we got this little dip in the heights here. So this is a area of what we call a trough of low pressure. And that's where we saw that law. That's supporting that surface low that was up there in Maine. So that's what you got there. And you got some stronger winds. You typically have stronger winds associated with these little systems, what we call short waves, and translates to either a front or a low pressure at the surface. So that's what we're seeing here. Some stronger winds back here across, you know, Pennsylvania, New York, and parts of the Northeast. Otherwise, yeah, there's no real big high pressure areas. You've got another little dip in the jet, not jet, but oh, this kind of is a representation of the mid-level jet. But this is area low pressure, and this is what's gonna, and there's gonna be more energy coming out from this direction. It's gonna kind of reinforce this, and as it moves this way, it's gonna deepen or strengthen into that big low pressure that we see, that we're going to see on Sunday and Monday moving across the eastern half of the U.S. So, yeah. So, yep. So that's what's going on there. So we'll kind of zoom through and I'll show you that. So look, see that? Here, This is some energy kind of poking down, and it's starting to kind of deepen. It's getting a little more pronounced. And then look, this is by Sunday morning. Look at how well, you see that nice dip of low pressure in there. Um, so yeah, so it amplifies. We call this amplifying the pattern. Um, yeah, when you see something like this, we call this a negative tilt, and that's something to look for when you're looking at a severe weather, severe thunderstorm activity. And this kind of coincides with the peak heating of the day. So, out ahead of this, probably Indiana, Illinois, down through this area. Yeah, that's a good supporter of severe thunderstorm activity. So it kind of goes a little negatively tilted there for a moment, and then it kind of reorients. But you can see that that thing really deepens, strengthens as we go through, Sunday and Monday, and that's really the only major feature going on over the next couple days. You can see how the pattern's really amplified. We have a big ridge of high pressure kind of centered out just off the coast of the Southern California here, and that builds up through all the west. So that's going to translate into a lot of warm weather, almost summer-like temperatures as we go into next week for the west. This is what's bringing all that cold air from Canada down, dipping way down south into parts of the south here. So cold. That's what's bringing all this cold air for Sunday, Monday, into early next week. And then we got this. This is just in response to the trough strengthening here. We kind of got a ridge out here stretching across the northeast United States, but that'll be short-lived. So this is Monday, midday. So as we go into Tuesday, you can kind of see that whole thing starts to lift up into Canada. Still a good troughing, so still going to be cold up around here on Tuesday. Um, and this is where the system is almost exiting because the surface feature is going to be to the east of this, but we'll still have some activity going on, maybe back down here. But most of it will be moving offshore by Tuesday. You can kind of see that's moving along pretty well. And it starts to fill. It's kind of filling as it moves north, so it's not quite as deep as we go into Wednesday. And then you see this little feature here. You can kind of see it comes out of Canada on Tuesday, and it's trucking, and that's going to bring that little band of precip snow up through this part of the country, Minnesota, Dakotas, into Illinois, Iowa, maybe Indiana, and then points to the east. Yeah, you can kind of see how that progresses through on Wednesday. But you can kind of see this high pressure centered over Southern California here next week. Kind of moves off the ocean, and so the whole West is going to be very warm. Maybe the Pacific Northwest will have their clouds and rain, so they won't get in on the beautiful weather. But hey, that's what happens when you live in Seattle and Portland, I guess, next to an ocean, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's what it looks like through midweek. So we had that one big system, and then another little weaker disturbance moving across Tuesday and Wednesday, and I think Thursday it's starting to move out. So, but that's the depiction at 500 millibars or 18,000 feet. Okay, so kind of went on and on there. I'll try to speed this up as best as I can. Okay, because we've talked about this. So this is what's going on now. So you saw that, all that snow up across Montana into South Dakota. You see, it shows the spotty little stuff in here. So, it's hinting at, yeah, there could be some little spots of light precip. But, yeah. But that's really not where the big weather's going to be, at least for right now, until later, until the next 24 to 36 hours. And then we see this system kind of wrapped up out here in the Northeast. So we'll kind of focus on this for a minute. So it'll continue through tonight, and then by the morning, Sunday morning, it's pretty much gone. The winds die down, so it'll be breezy today across the Northeast, and then by tomorrow, it's going bye-bye. But then you see this thing, how rapidly it develops. So I mean, we're looking at later today into tonight, and the winds really ramp up across, the Dakotas, back into Wyoming and Montana, down into the Front Range, into Colorado. And even out ahead of it, we'll have gusty winds, from Missouri down through Oklahoma and Texas. Yeah, so it's going to be windy. Even probably parts of New Mexico will get in on the strong winds there. So might be some dust blowing around out there tomorrow or tonight, anyway, starting tonight into tomorrow. And then this is like, look at how rapidly this develops. I mean, we get some, it looks like tonight into the early morning, the heavy snow is going to really get going from parts of the Dakotas into Minnesota, Wisconsin. Looks like there might even be, some ice pellets or freezing rain on the transition zone there, a little narrow band. But that low pressure is wrapping up, really getting really strong up in Iowa by this is Sunday morning. So very windy. I mean, we're looking at probably 60 to 70-mile-an-hour winds, and that's for gusts. So they're going to be strong. It's going to be blizzard-like conditions back here too. So, so as we go through the day on Sunday, um, it looks like Kansas City may not get much snow. They may just be right on the edge. Even Omaha's going to get maybe an inch or two if they're lucky. But yeah, but very windy out here and cold. So you're going to have some wind chills going on. I didn't mention that. So as this comes in on Sunday, Saturday night and Sunday, we're going to start seeing some cold wind chills as this cold air plunges out of Canada here. So, and then as I mentioned on Sunday, we're going to have showers and thunderstorms breaking out during the day in this general area from Missouri, Arkansas, down in eastern Oklahoma, maybe a little bit of part eastern Texas, even out ahead of it, maybe into Illinois, especially as you go through the day. So the severe threat will be like right through this area. So and you can kind of see that front's moving along too. This is by Sunday night. It's already moved out, into Indiana or Ohio and down through the Kentucky and Tennessee into, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. So, but with that said, so we got this powerful low pressure system, a lot to say with it, but so we're going to see severe thunderstorms today. Not much. They've got a little bit. You might get a couple pops of thunder up in the north, but yeah, nothing to write home about. Out here in Florida, they'll probably see a chance of some stronger storms across Florida in parts, but nothing too big. But tomorrow's the big day, so we got, yeah, look at this from they got an enhanced risk from, it's parts of southern Illinois, southern Indiana through, Arkansas down to Louisiana, Mississippi, northwest Alabama, eastern half of Kentucky and Tennessee there. So that's what you got going on, and the surrounding areas. So looks like Kansas City will be out of the threat. It'll form mainly east of them. So we're looking at St. Louis, Indianapolis, even Chicago, yeah, and Louisville, and Shreveport, Little Rock, these Jackson, Mississippi. So some of these cities will definitely be under the gun tomorrow. So that's a tornado threat. So the best threat looks like where that enhanced risk was there. So wind threat's pretty high too. That looks like your best. No, the hell's a little bit lower threat. So it looks like a wind and a tornado event, and that's because I believe what's going to happen is a squall line or QLCS is it's called among meteorologists, which is a quasi-linear convective system, will probably develop as we go into the overnight hours through tomorrow morning. So those typically spin up, small. Tornadoes are all significant, but I call them small EF0 to EF2 type tornadoes with wind damage. But they can be deadly too. I've heard of EF1s or zeros that have killed, people like in mobile homes and stuff. So, yeah, they're all a threat. So, be safe out there tomorrow across this part of the country. It's going to be hairy, and those storms are going to be moving fast too. They're going to be clipping along probably. This is just a wild guess, probably 45 to 50 miles an hour because of the way the system's moving. I mean, you see how that's trucking across. So this is by Sunday evening, Sunday night. Look at that. and we got still snow out here. I mean, we're looking at 1 to 2 feet of snow back into this area, probably approaching, 30 plus inches in parts of UP and Michigan and parts of northern Wisconsin. I think that's what I saw yesterday on the charts. So it's going to be a lot of snow. It's going to be blizzard conditions, and that's what's going on. So this is by Sunday night, so that's things still trucking, we still got ongoing severe thunderstorms across from Ohio all the way down south through Tennessee, Kentucky, and down through the southeast. So, and that'll truck along as we go through the day on Monday. Um, parts of the East Coast will be under the gun, and I'll show you where that's going to be. So the front, I mean, midday Monday is like from western New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, all the way down to the Carolinas and parts of eastern Georgia and Florida. So all this area is going to see thunderstorms. There'll be a little bit of snow on the backside, but it'll be fairly brief. It'll come and go, within a few hours or so, probably for the most part. I mean, some areas it could last, maybe 5 or 6 hours, but really it's going to be moving along. And then by Tuesday, I mean, look at this. This is Tuesday morning. All that front's gone offshore. We got some lingering snow across the Northeast, and then during the day on Tuesday, it goes bye-bye, and then we got some lake effects going on, setting up on Tuesday across the lakes. And then we see this little clipper here, and this will bring a couple inches of snow, maybe 4 to 5 in a couple spots. That's stretching it, maybe out through this part of Iowa and Minnesota. It'll just add more snow to the ground where you guys just got hammered, or most of you got hammered. But that's a quick moving clipper, and no big deal. Just a little bit of wind with it, especially down in the southern central plains, but yeah, and then that Wednesday, that kind of weakens and moves towards the east, and not too significant as you go through the day on Thursday. So after we get through this big one, it gets a little bit quieter, and it's going to be very warm out here. The temperatures will be cooler out here early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, and then they'll start to moderate by Wednesday and later in the week across, at least this area. The Northeast will probably still stay kind of cool or cold through most of the week. So that's what's going on. Another thing to watch down here in Florida, they're kind of hinting at maybe a low pressure forming out, over the Gulf somewhere near Cuba, and going up over the Keys and southern Florida. That might bring some heavy rains later in the week. I'll have to watch that by midweek or something, Wednesday, Thursday. Don't know. I didn't see the Hurricane Center didn't really say much about it, so I don't know if there'll be any kind of tropical, things with it going on. It's kind of early in the season, but something to watch. You'll get rain. You'll be rained out in parts of South Florida, the southern half. It looks like if this pans out, and the model's been showing this, I think, for a couple days. So yeah, so we've gotten long here, but I wanted to go through a bunch of stuff. Let me show you that. I forgot to show you Sunday's convective outlook for the East Coast. Come on, you gonna update for me? There we go. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, it looks like from even New York might get in, have a chance, at least a marginal risk. But looks like from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, kind of like what I said yesterday, down through, from Philadelphia, DC area, all the way down through the Carolinas, and even down into Georgia. It looks like Atlanta will probably be on the edge of it, so they might not be that much of a threat for Atlanta. But yeah, and down into Panhandle, Florida. So this is for Monday. So as you start your work week, it's going to be kind of messy, real stormy across the east, and you got to deal with severe thunderstorms too. But as we go through into Tuesday, things will start to improve. Just be colder. So, yep. Okay, that's all I've got. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I appreciate you subscribing and watching. You all have a great weekend. Wixman Ray out.